group that won the thing.
Good close.
It's quite shocking. He's going to come and speak because he started the Rocketry. He started the Rocketry team, and our Rocket team nationally qualified. So Julie Tyrakowski kept it going.
Right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the May 27th, 2025 Elkhart Community School Board meeting to order. You'd all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United
Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Davis, the Elkhart Promise.
Every student is known by name, challenged by and supported by highly effective staff, and in partnership with the community, will graduate career, college, and life ready.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Dora. We do have a couple. Thank you. You have three. So when I call your name, please come to the microphone and state your name for the record and your affiliation with the district. At that time, you'll have 3 minutes to speak on any agenda or non-agenda item. Please, keep it personnel and student issues at a minimum. This is not the appropriate venue to bring those up. We have a policy and protocol in place that will hear those. So when we get to that, I will call your name and please step forward. But before the public comment, we have on the agenda the superintendent's contract. If you attended the last meeting, we pulled the contract. There was some discussions that needed to be had as a board. We had those discussions. Those discussions included Dr. Huff. We went back and made what we feel are appropriate adjustments to the contract. That contract has been appropriately noticed with those changes. And it's tonight, it's the board's opportunity and pleasure to present that contract for approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a motion in a quick second? Very well. Do I have any comments from the board regarding this contract?
Yeah. Somebody else talking? Oh,
Just
I guess
right
it's an echo in here. There's so many people in here today. What I'd like to do is I want you to assume that each one of you are interviewing for a superintendent's position out here. And I will read you a portion of the job description and just a portion of the areas that you're responsible for. The following items are general characteristics of Elkhart Community Schools and the position you're applying for. Number one, you are responsible for the education, health, and safety and well-being of 10,369 students 5 days a week. You are responsible for communicating clearly to 20,738 parents and the general public. You're responsible for the education, health, and safety and training of 1,850 employees. You're also responsible to manage physical assets north of $1 billion. That's the size of the school corporation. You're responsible for managing cleaning 3 million square feet every day. You're responsible for safety management of 219 vehicles, including buses, service vehicles, and autos. You're responsible for the safety of the school bus fleet, student passengers that travel 6,000 miles per day. You are not allowed to be late or early. You're responsible to manage a fleet of school buses that travel 1.3 million miles annually. You are allowed no accidents. You're responsible for managing an annual budget of $156 million. Your budget is greater than the city of Elkhart and greater than the combined budget of 3 other Elkhart County school districts. You're responsible for managing security and upkeep of a school corporation properties that encompass 555 acres if they were all conjoined to each other, or that's 87% of a square mile. You're responsible for managing an annual maintenance and repair budget of $2.2 million. You're responsible for assuring and convincingly persuading Wall Street bankers that Elkhart Community Schools has our financial house in order and their money is safe. You're responsible, you get to work 12 to 16 hours every day and 10 hours per day on Saturday and Sunday. You are the representative of Elkhart Community Schools 24/7, 365. You're responsible for performing any other task the school board might assign you. Please note your school board is highly unlikely to do that anytime soon. Lastly, you are responsible for doing all the above intelligently, strategically, efficiently, effectively, and with great courage, authority, and grace at all times. My safe harbor statement: the above interview questions and comments are solely those of myself and of no others in this board. And so, who in this room would like to apply for a job, that job? Raise your hand. Come on, get them up there. Okay, second question. Who in this room is willing to help? Okay. You need to take a look around at yourselves and see what you need to do here, folks. All right. And thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening to me.
Anyone else? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The contract passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we are at the public comment section of the agenda, and the first one up would be Jan Kern. Please step to the microphone.
It's Jean.
Good evening. My name is Jeannie Kern. I'm a 1982 graduate of Elkhart Central High School. I do thank Elkhart Community Schools for providing me with an excellent education. Part of that education was I had the honor and privilege of going on the premier geology class trip to Colorado. That was a life-changing experience for me. There were 600 students that applied to go on that premier trip. I was one of 35 or 40 students selected. I was 13 years old. I was an incoming freshman. I was still in junior high because we know the format back then was still 7 through 9, 10 through 12. So I was the youngest student on that trip. That trip was life-changing for me, and I don't ever want to see that trip go away. That trip has impacted so many students over the last 47 years, and I hope to see that continue well into the future, because I know a lot of people had the same experience that I did, that it was life-changing for them. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Polly Corp.
Hi,
Hello.
President Scott, Dr. Huff, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I am a long-standing Elkhart Community School supporter. I graduated in 1979. I raised my children here. My husband graduated in 1980, and now we have 9 grandkids in this school system. I'm here, though, to express disappointment in regards to a recent hiring. I have to be vague, I was told, so I'm trying. Elkhart has many, many loyal families. These families have sent generations through Elkhart schools. But lately it seems that there has been a disregard for their loyalty, dedication, and community support. Families and individuals who are passionate about Elkhart Community Schools are interested in bettering their athletics and their academics are now looking at other school corporations. Recent decisions have forced individuals inside this group to begin the transfer process. They're moving their children or child to other school corporations, which saddens me to the core. I did the petition. I got signatures for the merger. I bought every Elkhart apparel item I could buy. I am 100% an Elkhart supporter. And now I'm having to make decisions. I also have a disappointment in our athletic coaches in this corporation who send their children elsewhere. If Elkhart Community Schools is not good enough for their children, then where is their dedication and their belief in this school system? And yet they're left to coach the children who stay. Of this head coaching position, outsiders knew of this before other applicants even were informed. They were told before they got their official phone call. To me, that's not professional. I'm a retired teacher of 40 years from PHM. I sent my kids through this system because I believed in it, and I still do. As of the 25-26 school year, it's my understanding that there may not be a middle school coach for this program. The youth club has been disbanded because the owner of that club is going elsewhere. There are neighboring school systems who are ready to embrace our students. They're caring about them, and they've actually put the process in place. My question is, why can't Elkhart do that? Thank you.
Gail Martin.
I work in transportation, and I have a few questions I feel I need answered. Why haven't we received our return papers back to work? Why isn't there any garage work for this year for the summer? Drivers feel like we're getting pushed out, and you guys are basically requiring us to quit. And who's going to be our next transportation director? We have no answers, none. And that's all I have to say. We need answers. And we're not getting any. And we feel that there's not, why can't we do summer schools? Why can't we paint, inventory at the garage? There's always something for us to do. Has been since I've worked here. And we all feel like we don't know if we're going to have a job next year. You guys pushing us all out. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, Dr. Huff, we have the Alumni Excellence.
Good evening, President Scott, members of the board, community. Tonight, we will recognize Richard Golden for his outstanding contributions to the education to the Elkhart community. A lifelong resident, Richard attended Elkhart schools from kindergarten through high school and later returned to serve as a dedicated science teacher at Brookdale Junior High and West Middle School. His passion for teaching and commitment to students have shaped the lives of countless young people. One of Richard's most lasting contributions began in 1976, and I promise this wasn't coordinated, but I'm pretty sure you can guess what that trip is. It's the now legendary Colorado trip. This 2-week journey took 8 students to the southwestern Colorado, where they explored national parks, historic mines, mining towns, and even hiked in the San Juan Mountains, covering 5 miles a day and summiting Engineer Mountain at over 12,000 feet. For many students, this is the first time ever leaving Indiana, and that's still the case to this day. an unforgettable adventure that taught responsibility, courage, and perseverance. Thanks to Richard's vision and leadership, the Colorado trip continues to this day, impacting generations of students. Tonight, we'll get to hear just a little bit of what Richard has to say about this before we honor him this evening.
My name is Richard Golden. I graduated from Elkhart High School in 1957. I spent 4 years at Ball State getting a teaching license, and I was in the classroom here in Elkhart for 34 years, teaching industrial arts or science. My experience was very good. That was back in the days when not many people had cars, and we had to walk to school, walk home, walk to the Friday night dances at the old YWCA, from the football games or basketball games. It was just a wonderful experience. We could get to know a lot of our classmates because of those kinds of things. I had some really good times cruising Main Street and in our cars, if you had a car. I had one teacher, John Duvall, that he was probably the reason I went into education. John talked to me about becoming a teacher a number of times. And because of him, I went to Ball State and became a teacher. 47, I think it's 47 years ago, I started a program, a geology class, taking kids to Colorado. And one of the kids I took out there ended up to being Exxon's major geologist. That was just fantastic. I think I took roughly 2,000 kids to Colorado, backpacking up in the high mountains, and a lot of really interesting experiences. We were coming up out of Animas Forest, which is a ghost town, and if you've ever spent a night in a real ghost town in the high mountains with a bunch of 14-year-old kids, it's an experience. Because of this field trip, Elkhart, the city of Elkhart, and Elkhart schools, a lot of people know about us and the school system because of this trip. They're amazed that we are doing that kind of a trip, and it's still going on. After 47, 46 years, it's still going on, and that's wonderful. That's something I started. A good education and a lot of good memories. My advice for current students is listen to your teachers, work hard. I learned those lessons later in high school.
As always, it's always a pleasure to just remind people of the outstanding individuals who not only have come through our school system, but are leaving a legacy to this day, to this moment, and are shaping lives of our kids with their visionary works and their efforts to make just life better for our students and families. So without any further ado, I would like to, if he's willing, Mr. Golden, to come up and share a few words.
I was afraid I was going to be asked to fill up. I look up here and I see all these young people. And I started this program 47 years ago, and I thought maybe you guys would like to find out how it started and why it started. I was teaching science at Brookdale, the old Brookdale Junior High School. And that was in the daytime. And at night, some nights I had a Boy Scout troop, only it was not all boys. We had girls too, so it was just a scout troop. And we had our own bus, which we were not dependent on anybody for transportation, so we could do a lot of things that most scout troops could not. And we do these backpacking trips, Utah, Colorado, South Dakota, many places. And wherever we went, the kids I had in class, they were talking about what they learned in class. Some geology, some astronomy, and they're laying in their sleeping bags at night talking about those things. And they're living that on this trip. They're living in, they can see these things and living it. And we were coming back from South Dakota, backpacking in the Black Hills, and I was driving the bus. There was a bunch of kids behind me and someone in the other seat in the front, and they were talking about those things. And all of a sudden it kind of dawned on me, this would make a great school trip, a great school, summer school class. And got back to Elkhart, talked to Jean Miller, a woman I was teaching with, and we wrote up a proposal and turned it in, and eventually it was accepted, and 47 years it's still going. And that's how it got started. Boy Scout troop. Had some great adventures. We have a lot of stories. I could stand up here all night and tell you stories. One of them one story I'd like to tell you. We'd spend 4 days up in the mountains, and it's got pretty tough. Physically, it was tough. Sometimes it was raining. Sometimes it was cold. Sometimes it was snowing. And we get through the 4 days, and we're going to come back down out of the mountains on the 5th day. And we'd have a big bonfire going and at night, and the kids are all sitting around it. And the kids are dirty, tired, but they were all smiling. They were all telling stories about the adventure. And I would get back on a rock outcropping and just watch and listen. And they were such happy kids. It was amazing. And then they didn't know it, but we didn't smell very good. Because we all smell that way. But we'd get down to the bus and we'd drive into Ouray, Colorado, and go to a natural hot spring swimming pool. And they would walk into the building and into the dressing rooms, and the people that were in there, you could just see them going, they're smelling, and it was us. And but they would get in the hot spring swimming pool and get cleaned up and brand new or clean clothes on, and they would come out, and it was, like you had to call them not girls anymore, young ladies, gentlemen. The boys were not boys, they were men. And it was just a wonderful feeling. And that's just one of the stories I could tell you, and I could take hours doing it. But that's it. Any questions?
No, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Huff. Next, we have the Moment of Pride. I actually love this name of this team, the Elkhart High School Rocketry team who went to nationals. I didn't know rocketry was a word, but it's kind of fun to say.
Yes, thank you for having us tonight. We are here representing the Elkhart High School Rocketry team. As you can see, we are 3 of the members that made it to nationals this year. We'll start by introducing ourselves. My name is Natalie Middleton. I'm a senior this year in high school. I will be attending Goshen College in the fall for a major in business.
Hi, everybody. I'm Olivia Eversole. I'm a senior this year. I'll be attending Butler University to major in physics.
And I'm Dana Pitogo. I'm a junior in Elkhart High School.
Yeah, so we'll start off by telling you a little bit about our experience at nationals this year through the American Rocketry Challenge. I'll let you take it away.
So first of all, the American Rocketry Challenge, it's this organization where different teams from different schools all around the country, they'll submit their scores. I think this year we had about 1,000 teams submit scores to this challenge, and they take 100 of those teams to nationals. And so we had 2 teams make it to nationals, both Elkhart High School. We were also the only teams from Indiana, so that was pretty cool. So we left, I think, last Friday. It was my first time on the plane. That was pretty fun. So we flew all the way to Virginia, which is absolutely beautiful. And that Friday night, we had a safety briefing. Just a lot of instructions, what was going to happen. We met some people. It was really cool. And then the next day was our launch. So pretty much first thing we went to get our eggs. They have a bunch of different eggs, with different weights. And you pick your eggs, and then you go start to get ready to launch. We had to make a few last minute adjustments. That was interesting, but it was fun. So all of the teams launched at least once. Our goal was 815 feet, and our target time was to go up and come down and hit the ground within 41 to 44 seconds. So Natalie and I are on a team together. This is our rocket. It's got our initials on it. It went up and came down in 43 seconds, which was really good. And we were about 87 feet off. So our score was 87. We ended up placing 62 of 100. We didn't get a second launch. And then our other team.
Moving to pad 5 on the Stein Lane.
Me and my teammate placed 70 because our rocket didn't really went up as high because the wind, it was way too windy when we were the first one to launch, and the wind made it a little difficult for us to fly, but we still made it. We didn't got disqualified. We launched our rocket.
Yes, so there were also various competitions throughout the day and little activities that we got to experience while we were there, not only launching our actual rockets up in the air for judging, but other activities to learn more hands-on about rocket building and just science in general and how to communicate with each other. We have an example on the board of one of the rocket building challenges we did. We got to design a small rocket. It didn't need to be launchable, but we either got points for being creative or having good craftsmanship. We went for the creativity side and just did a crazy design with ours. But it was a lot of fun, and it was very interesting seeing how time pressured it was, but still being able to collaborate with everyone and be able to build this under a time constraint.
All right. After that, we had a dinner. We had lunch and dinner provided with our finalist badges, so that was pretty cool. There was also an ice cream snack time. Also, they had astronauts and other people involved with different types of rocketry activities, and there were Space Force people there. It was really cool. There were a lot of very inspiring adults that they had. Some people talk, some people were just there answering questions. It was really fun. They also had a high power rocket launch. There were about, I think, between 8 and 10 big rockets. These things could have gone miles up into the air, some of them. They didn't, though. There were some reasons why. I think one of those was planes. It's kind of a big thing. But yeah, they gave that demonstration for us. That was really cool. And then we had awards. One of the cool things about this organization is that they give out a lot of prize money to the kids. The top team gets, I think, $20,000 for the kids and then $1,000 for their school. So that's a pretty big deal. And then it's the top 10 teams that get prize money. And then there are other prizes such as like best rookie and I think a couple other things. We unfortunately didn't win anything, but it was really fun just to see the enthusiasm on the faces of the people that did. And it was just a really fun time.
I definitely agree. This was a very much so once in a lifetime experience. I thought building the rockets was fun, but just being able to see them launch with all these other very enthusiastic people around us was very, very interesting. We learned a lot as we were there, not only about rocket building, but just how to learn on hands-on and be adaptive in the moment. As we said before, we ran into some minor complications before we initially launched, so just being able to adapt and go through the circumstances that we had to, it was a very valuable experience. It was also interesting, the few of us that did go, we were all females that went, so just seeing women in STEM and just being part of the rocket building, it was very unique and definitely once in a lifetime.
After the competition, we went to DC to explore because we had a free day. And so our teacher that went with us, we went to places like national museums. And me and my team, we were able to learn stuff that, well, we already did learn them, but we made we were more exposed to them, and like we learned even more from those, like the Holocaust. That was a really a really good experience for us because it was very detailed and we were like able to know more about it. And yeah.
Last but certainly not least, we want to say thank you to the parents, the grandparents, guardians, teachers, mentors, and sponsors, because we couldn't have gotten here without money or help or, anybody. We had so many people helping us, and it was a really good experience.
Yes, thank you also.
I have a question. What kind of fuel are you using?
So there are a few different rocket motors that they have on the market. We use F42 motors. So there are different suppliers that supply them.
The propellant inside of them is what, dynamite?
Rocket fuel?
Rocket fuel?
not-
Liquid, solid?
I'm not really sure, but it is safe.
That's how that matters.
Well, maybe I missed that aspect of the safety thing here.
Well, I will say thanks for representing Elkhart High the way you guys did. I'm sorry, the way you ladies did. So proud of you. I know you guys went and represented as well. So thank you for that.
Also, thank you for representing the state of Indiana as well. And I'm seeing, it was more, it sounds like, than just a competition for you. And, you had your first, plane flight, which you probably understood what was going on much greater than I do anytime in a plane. But, these are experiences that you're going to be able to take with you on the Butler with your major in physics and, hold for the rest of your life. So, no, thank you very much for representing our high school and the state of Indiana.
And I hope that you guys come back and have the opportunity to mentor next year's team. That will be great. And I want to say a thank you to Dan Welsh for bringing this program to us and allowing us to be able to move through that. So I think it would be, so thank you to him and thank you for who stepped in for Mr. Welsh to continue this on. And I just really am proud of you guys and good luck in your career. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, Excellence of Elkhart.
Thank you, President Scott, members of the board, Dr. Huff, community members. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share highlights in the areas of academics, arts, and athletics. First up is our academics. Over 200 Elkhart High School seniors participated in Ivy Tech spring graduation ceremony. Many students earned the Indiana College Core, while others completed their associate's degrees. Before receiving their high school diplomas, All credits were earned at no cost to families, saving thousands for future tuition. Northside Middle School students took part in a hands-on learning day at Elkhart Area Career Center. From culinary arts to healthcare and beyond, students got to take an early look at engaging programs and career pathways available to them at the high school and beyond. Elkhart High School seniors have been participating in graduation walks, returning to their former elementary and middle schools to celebrate how far they've come. These meaningful visits inspire younger students and give seniors a chance to reflect on the journey through Elkhart Community Schools. Our kindergarten students at Beardsley Elementary took a deep dive into science, learning about the 5 layers of the ocean. Mrs. Klein's students created a visual model to explore how these layers appear in real life, combining science and creativity. We also want to congratulate our graphic design and commercial photography students at the Elkhart Area Career Center. Competing in the student division of a 2025 American Advertising Federation Awards, typically dominated by college students, our students earned multiple honors, including 4 gold stars and 5 silver awards. Their success highlights the value of our dual credit partnership with Ivy Tech. Elkhart High School's freshman division hosted its spring 2025 food truck event, where students showcased the culinary talents and teamwork. Staff and community members enjoyed creative food samples while celebrating the students' growing skills and confidence in the kitchen. In the area of arts, for our 6th year in a row, Elkhart Community Schools has once again been named the best community for music education by the NAM Foundation. This honor celebrates our incredible student musicians and educators who support them. Cleveland Elementary School held its annual Fine Arts Days this past week, showcasing student musicians and art galleries throughout the day and hosting an evening open house for families to celebrate the school's vibrant art programs. In athletics, Elkhart Community Schools participated in the annual Unified Special Olympics, where teams of students with diverse physical and mental abilities competed side by side in track and field events. With support from their buddies, participants displayed teamwork, determination, and joy, making it a day to remember. Elkhart High School's football held its spring scrimmages to give families a first look at the fall 2025 Lions community 2025 Lion team. These events offer valuable practice time for athletes and opportunities for the Elkhart Lions community to come together and celebrate the season ahead. Go Lions. Congratulations to Northside Middle School's Mitrell King, who earned the Big 11 high jump champion with an impressive jump of 5 foot 8 inches. His achievement highlights the hard work and talents of our student athletes across Elkhart Community Schools. For our future happenings, May 29th is our last day of school. June 2nd is our Elkhart High School Sports Awards. June 4th is graduation. June 9th, Catherine Wolf Awards, and June 11th will be our Tim Bringle Awards. As always, please be sure to follow our district and school social media pages as we share each day the excellence of Elkhart Community Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Great job filling in for Aaron.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, I have the consent items. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Do I have any discussions?
Sure do. And we have at a value of $4,800, a donation of a 2012 Pacer with a 2.9 engine for our diesel tech department from the Jakob Falatovic Construction. And the next item that would come from Osceola Grace Brethren Church is valued at $1,500, and that is a 2003 bus. They'll go to the diesel and tech department also. $7,500 from Simonton Sales, care of David Elliott, will go towards our student activities for extracurricular events. $900 worth of door prizes came from McAllister Machinery, including hats, shirts, mugs, and a drill machinery set. And Rocky Enfield, once again, showing great support to our community, donated $300 to support our National History Day national qualifiers with their travel expenses. $1,250 from Legacy Heating and Cooling is to grow our sport athletic department. And at $250, Bunnell Aluminum gave us money towards our national qualifying for our rocket team that just was here to offset costs. And our last is a $500 from our community foundation on behalf of the Dr. Wendy and Matt Wendy Scholarship Fund, which goes to one senior in the vet class for a one-time donation of a scholarship. And of course, Dr. Wendy owns Noah's Landing, and she is also very supportive in giving internships and other items to grow the future development of our veterinarian program at the Elkhart Career Center. So those are our totals once again from our school, from our community on behalf of Elkhart Community Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Mullins. Any other discussion from the board?
Oh yeah, we have 2 retirements. Bring it back down. I have Diane Amos. She is leaving Oslo School, 28 years of service, and she's retiring from our E&L program. So we celebrated her at our last meeting. She has served in so many different areas, just growing children in their faith, growing children in what they needed to do in their E&L, but mostly her parental involvement is phenomenal. Cheryl Berkey, she's leaving after 16 years, the Career Center, but she left, somebody very capable in church, and that is Zach Lucas, but she was our food service chef, culinary event coordinator, and other areas that she took care of things. She's just wonderful. And then Sheila Moravec, she was a paraprofessional at Cleveland Elementary for 29 years. That's 29 years of growing our school and our children. So we celebrate them on their retirement, and thank you so much for their service to Elkhart Community Schools.
Thank you again. Any other discussion? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, Mr. Thorne, old business.
Good evening, President Scott, members of the board, Dr. Huff. Tonight, our first agenda item is a proposed resolution. Tonight, the administration is presenting for your approval this proposed resolution authorizing supplemental payment for teachers in the content areas of math and science. An earlier draft of this resolution was shared with you for your consideration during the March 11th, 2025 meeting. Purpose of this resolution is to offer supplemental payments as a retention incentive to encourage teachers in these high-need content areas to continue their employment with Elkhart Community Schools through the 2025-26 school year. Unless the Board of School Trustees takes further action to extend the program, this resolution will expire at the end of that school term, which will give you an opportunity to assess the effectiveness of this proposed resolution. Seeking your approval this evening.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions or discussions from the board?
I like chime in, President Scott. I do want to make sure that when we do have this conversation, when these bonuses are given out, as of today, I think the latest numbers I got from HR that meets this criteria that we've established, there's eight employment opportunities, and all the information we made public to our ETA, make sure our teachers, so they get this information, so nothing is, I think it's for us to make sure that we're transparent when we're doing these things. And so I will definitely do that. And also in January, we also need to make sure that we come back with a report to our entire community and to our school board to measure the effectiveness of not only our hires, but also this process. So I'm certainly committed to doing that. I know our team is as well. It was comments, Doug. It wasn't really a question. So
They were very thoughtful comments, however.
Thank you. Anything else? I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. The second resolution that we're presenting this evening for your approval is a proposed resolution which authorizes the superintendent to offer supplemental payments as a hiring incentive to candidates in identified high-need areas. These hiring incentives were originally included in the March 11th resolution. However, it was later determined that the retention and hiring incentives should be addressed in separate resolutions. Like the proposed retention incentive. This hiring incentive will only apply to candidates hired for the 2025-26 school year and will not extend beyond that year unless further action is taken by this board. Seeking your approval this evening.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions from the board?
Last thing, I think for a processing piece for retention, I think I just had them switched. Make sure that they're payment within 30 days of when they're done. And also, again, at the end in July, make sure that we come back and speak and talk about really evaluating this process. My goal is hopefully we look at this on a year-to-year basis, but with plenty of lead time and feedback from our Teachers Association and also from our HR team and legal counsel on the effectiveness of this program. So again, I think there's some mechanics that we also need to make sure that we communicate about through this process. Doug, it is okay to actually say something now.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you. Anything else from the board? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This resolution passes.
So much.
Next, we have Administrative Guidelines 312-1A CS, personal background checks, references, and mandatory reporting.
Thank you, President Scott, members of the board, Dr. Huff. This evening, we're presenting for further consideration and review a proposed administrative guideline related to the procedures that are to be followed by the Human Resources Department related to the conduct of background and reference checks for new employees to the school district, as well as an obligation to conduct scheduled background checks for current employees of the corporation. That is done every 5 years in a rolling basis in terms of when that happens. Proposed guideline was first presented to you for your consideration on May the 13th.
This is
Administrative guideline won't have any voting requirement as to this particular document. Happy
Okay.
to answer any questions related to it, however.
Do we have any questions regarding this administrative guideline? No questions. We can move on to Board Policy 3141.01A, suspension and dismissal of professional staff members.
Thank you so much. Tonight, the administration is presenting for your approval a proposed revisions to this policy. This proposed revision eliminates a requirement to provide notice by a specific date regarding whether or not an administrator's contract will be non-renewed or the administrator will be reassigned to a different position. With the exception of assistant superintendents, principals, and assistant principals, this is not a requirement under Indiana law. We are seeking your approval of these proposed revisions to this policy this evening.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none or seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda, we have Board Policy 3410.04CS, substitute compensation.
Thank you. Tonight, the administration is also presenting for approval proposed revisions to the compensation plan for substitute teachers. This proposed revision would not take effect until July 1, 2025. The policy as presented increases the rate paid for substitute teachers with a substitute permission issued by the Indiana Department of Education to $120 per day, and also increases the rate paid for certified teachers employed as a substitute to $160 per day. The proposed revision adds an incentive to be paid to substitutes working 25 to 49 days during a semester of $300 per semester, and an incentive for substitute teachers working more than 50 days per semester, an incentive of $600. Additionally, the proposed revision clarifies language related to an incentive for substitute nurses. The policy also eliminates the premium rate currently paid to retired substitute teachers, as this rate is no longer sustainable given the current financial challenges the district is facing. Seeking your approval of that this evening as well.
Thank you, Mr. Thorne. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion. I have a second. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have Board Policy 5350, Student Suicide Awareness and Prevention.
Thank you so much. So that the district can be in compliance with provisions of Indiana Code Section 2026-5-34.4, the administration is recommending board approval of this policy, which sets forth in detail the training obligations for district employees related to this important topic. This past fall, all district employees were required to participate in training specifically related to suicide awareness and prevention, and we are seeking your approval of this policy this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Thorne. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion second.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any questions or comments from the board regarding this policy? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have Administrative Guidelines 5600B, Guidelines for Secondary School Athletics.
Thank you. Tonight, the administration is presenting for further consideration and review proposed revisions to this guideline that governs guidelines for secondary school athletics. Bringing this just for further review and consideration. No formal action is required.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board regarding this administrative guideline? Seeing or hearing none? Thank you. We'll move on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, under new business, Ms. Bradner, we have agreement for residential services.
Yes, good evening, President Scott, members of the board, Dr. Huff. The administration recommends board approval of an alternative residential services agreement for an Elkhart Community Schools student.
Do I have a motion regarding this agreement for residential services?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions or comments regarding this agreement from Ms. Brandner? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Mr. Quiet, resolution for transfer amounts from the operating referendum tax levy fund to the operations fund.
Yes, thank you, President Scott, School Board of Trustees, and Dr. Huff. This resolution addresses the operating referendum fund. Currently holds a cash balance of approximately $3.5 million and no longer has a revenue source since our referendum has not been renewed for many years now. This proposal would shift that May end month balance into the operations fund, consolidating that group of consolidated cash balance that we talked about. It's important to note that this is a procedural action permissible under the Indiana Code and will not impact overall cash balances, but more of a house cleaning item. So I would ask the board to approve the resolution recommending the approval of transfer amounts from the operating referendum tax levy fund to the operations fund.
Do I have a motion regarding this resolution? Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any comments or questions? I do have a quick question. This, if this is to be approved, the effective date is immediate?
We would close out the month of May to ensure any expenses that are incurred in this month are captured, and we would report that to you in the June, like May's month end at the June meeting of what that actual final dollar amount that was transferred says.
Thank you. Do I have any other questions or comments? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Financial report, Mr. Quiet.
Yes, thank you, President Scott. A brief financial report for the close of April. This is the May financial update, but reporting on April expenses year to date. Again, just sharing a snapshot of where our dollars went from the operations fund. You can see $3 million of expenses there, in the education fund about $7.25 million. Again, 97% in our education fund is moving towards personnel, wages, and benefits. That continues to be a trend that we have here. And then this is a chart on our cash balance of those consolidated funds. Again, with that resolution that just approved, that 610 fund will no longer be included. However, that cash balance will remain. So we won't see a change in that. We shared at our last board meeting kind of that waterfall of our cash balance. And what you're seeing here is we're at about 5% cash balance to expenditures. And we know that in May it will drop again when we report that. However, June, we'll see our local property tax levy. So we receive that in January and June. So it is anticipated that those funds dropped. However, at the rate that that cash is burning through, we are looking at some options for the end of the year to ensure that we have an appropriate cash balance. The green and the red lines you see on there are 12 and 17% of expenditures, and the state uses a prudent range of 10 to 15%. So as we move through this, we will see this summer some of the effects of some of the cost savings initiatives we started to put in place regarding summer school, some of the routes, some of the different summer work that we've tried to streamline and be a little more coordinated on. We should start to see some cost savings there. Again, as we move into the next school year and some different contracts and some other pieces that we're putting in place come into effect, we'll narrow in on a number that we may need to look at borrowing to bolster that cash balance to finish out the year. And we will provide more information to the board and the community as to how we hope to address that likely next month. Working closely again with our team, our group with policy analytics and understanding, the tax implications and kind of what that means for our future borrowing capacity, taking that all into effect or into account as we propose some sort of a solution moving forward for the board. So that concludes my financial update. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
We have any questions from the board regarding the financial update?
Zach,
Yes.
how much are we expecting in June for property tax receipts?
13 million-ish. I can get a more accurate number for you on that, but rough.
Any other questions or comments?
Do we know when we're going to have more information from our partners who are helping us with all the legislation that's happened the last month or so, of where we stand and how that's going to affect some of the decisions we have to make?
Yeah, so we had a group call with many of the school districts that work with policy analytics, and they've given us their approach to how they're calculating these numbers and some different scenarios that we're going to look at. We're working to finalize a date to work with our internal administrative team to look at our specific data, and then also working with him to kind of share back with the community what that impact will have. And I would say we can expect something in the next couple months from policy analytics and how they are, what impact they're projecting on the cash levy, and as well as our tax rate and how these Senate Enrolled Act 1 is going to impact those for Elkhart.
We're meeting with them in June to go over our specific data for Elkhart Community Schools.
Correct.
We're meeting with them in June to go over our specific information for Elkhart Community Schools, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, early June. Yes.
Yeah, so I would expect us to provide the community an update after that June meeting. So Mrs. Von der Vellen, that will be when you will receive that information.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments regarding the financial report? Seeing none, we'll move to the insurance report.
Thank you, President Scott. Again, reviewing our loss ratio, I think last month I reported that we were still finalizing those numbers and making sure that our modeling was correct. We've narrowed that in, and we're confident that we're operating at about a 74% loss ratio, which is good to start the year. Again, I'll remind everyone publicly that insurance funds can change drastically. All it takes is a couple emergent claims, and that trend can change quickly, but we are, off to a good start through these first 4 months. Gallagher is planning to market our plan and look at some different options from a cost and service standpoint. We look forward to hearing that, sharing that with the insurance committee as we come back from school. And then additionally, we're going to be collecting some employee feedback. We're going to send out a survey I know the impetus of this move to work with Gallagher was to really do a better job of communicating and understanding how we can help our employees utilize this benefit that the district shares a big part of the financial burden of. But we also know that it's important that our staff is physically and mentally and financially secure, and this is just part of that package that helps to do that. And so we're hoping to collect some feedback to learn a little bit more about what they understand about the plan that we offer and how we can do a better job of making sure that they know what resources are available to them. So that concludes my insurance update. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just have a quick question on the loss ratio for those who don't know. Could you tell them what the denominator is? What's that's based on?
Yeah, so we work with our broker partner to understand claims and how much we project will be paid out in medical cost, as well as some of the fixed costs of the partnerships that we have in that plan. And then we project out how much we need to fund that. The district pays a portion of that. The employee district pays a 70+% of that. The employee pays the remainder of that. And then those dollars go into a fund. And as we pay out on those claims, insurance claims, if it's, we've paid 75% effectively, or 74% of the dollars that we've collected to date. And so the goal is that you really want to plan this so that it comes in about as close to 100% as you can. That means you're not spending more than you have, and it also means you're not building up a big reserve, right? And so that's the goal. In the last few years, we've been pretty within a few percentage points of that 100% mark. And I think with this early trend, I think we can expect similar results.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding the insurance report? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Quiet.
Thank you.
Dr. Huff.
Thank you, President Scott, members of the board, community. Last week, I had the pleasure of attending our adult education graduation ceremony that's conducted by Mr. Eakins and his team. I found that to be one of the most fulfilling times that you could ever be. Watching adults from age 19 all the way up to age 65 receive their adult equivalency diploma. If you don't think those things matter, go spend time at that event. I heard a lot of hooping and hollering, obviously, at that event, but we saw people 65 years old committed to making sure that they advance not just themselves, but what they represent for their families as well. Watching little babies and little younger family members watching their parents receive their diploma. It was a huge deal. So I just want to say Mr. Eakins and his team did a wonderful job, but overall, I felt like that was just a great night to spend that time there with our family. So I just want to let you know about that. Also want to share a little bit about two schools that were recognized by the IDOE, Monger Elementary and Riverview Elementary, as family-friendly schools. And that just doesn't mean that our families are friendly to them when they come in. They had to go through a rigorous process to receive this type of recognition from the IDOE. They had to show how they are engaged with family, what type of activities that they do. Also, those schools had to show the academic pieces on what things they put in place to make sure that their kids are receiving a rigorous learning environment there as well. Very proud of those two schools for their accomplishment. Thank you to Mrs. Cripe, Beth Williams, Principal April Walker, also to Holly Conley and everyone else at the two schools for that recognition. We should be very proud of that. To be singled out by the state to have two of those schools out of when there's only 45, huge deal for our school community. Also, I would like to give a shout out to our boys golf team. Last Saturday, they won the conference championship. Yeah, say it out there a little bit louder. We have an amazing group of young men who have done an outstanding job this year, and they're a young team as well. So I expect us to be pretty good for years to come. And also the Unified Track team also won sectionals last Saturday as well. So things are going very well in the sports world for Elkhart Community Schools. From a professional development side, on May 14th, we had our first group go through our Leadership Academy here in Elkhart Community Schools. Approximately 14 different educators spanning assistant principals, teachers, principals, some central office staff went through that Leadership Academy where we went over curriculum, budgeting, public relations, what it looks like at the superintendency level. and they're really committed. They came every single month, every single Wednesday, book study to one, to advance themselves professionally, but I think it's important that you grow your own. I'm a big believer Superman's not going to come and save us. I want to say thank you to Jason Inman, to Maggie Lozano, and also to Lindsay Brander for your help during that process, and also for our board members who came and spoke at that event, and anyone else who came to contribute to those educators' growth. I thought it was a really good time. It was really the highlight of my weeks here with them. So I thought that was a good thing. But last but certainly not least, we made it to the end of the school year. We have 2 days left. Today I was able to get to 5 different schools, all celebrating the end of the school day in a different way, whether it's handing out popsicles at Mary Daly, like I had the pleasure to do this morning, or watching the little tykes down at the Hawthorne Early Learning Center. I plan to be there tomorrow at 8 a.m. to see their little promotion ceremony. There's a lot of good times that are happening here in Elkhart Community Schools. We're doing great work, teachers, custodial staff, transportation, all of you, anyone who is connected with a kid here. We just want to say thank you, but also respite is good. Breaks it's okay. It's okay to enjoy your break. Trust me, you're going to need those over the next 2 days because these kids seem ready already for a break. But I just want to say thank you. And it's been an outstanding 24-25 school year. And I can't wait to see the things that come for next year. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, President Scott.
Thank you, Dr. Huff. From the board.
Well, quickly, I ended it with saying about the Rocket group that Dan stepped out of, but Julie Tyrakowski, thank you for doing a great job with helping them and making sure that they got to where they needed to be at the end of it and celebrating them. So saying that, and then also I had the privilege last meeting to talk to you about the Unified Music Program and went to the concert. It was phenomenal. You would not believe what they did with those students and the music, but even more so because I'm a rock and roll chick, all of a sudden I hear Smoke on the Water and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And so it was through the roof amazing what they did with those students. But I have to tell you about our seniors. You knew that they were seniors because they were dressed a certain way. They were right there with our students, holding that instrument, cradling them, making sure that they moved their bow, making sure that they were pizzicato on top of their bass. They were right there 100% invested. What Tracy Wyrick has done with that program, you were walking out of there in awe with tears in your eyes because you could not believe the empathy, the growth, but the full commitment that our students had to those musicians. So kudos to our music program, which we celebrated here. We celebrated last time. We continue to celebrate, but it was with complete awe that I saw our students giving the very best of themselves and their commitment. So we are beyond blessed with everything that we have going. Even when sometimes it's a little bit cloudy, there are so many rays of sunshine happening inside of this school district. We need to keep lifting those up. So do not miss that next year, you guys. It was outstanding.
Any other comments or final thoughts from the board? All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.